Absolutely. Yes. Yee-haw and yodelay-loo and yeah, clap, 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 clap. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Good to be here. Good to be back, of course. I am Mal Burns. Yes. Mal is one word. Burns is another word. But if you want to find me on Twitter, you're going to have to squash me like you do with everything on the interwebs. Twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns, all one word, like magic. And we have an additional feed for this show, which features virtual worlds and things, which is twitter.com/Metaworld News. And here's the news for you. That one, too, has been squashed by Twitter. So it's Metaworld News without a space. Yes. Love it, don't you? The world of squash. You know, the internet, the interwebs, always squashing.
Always squashing.
It's making me feel like a lemming.
A lemming. All
Like
right.
those sardines you get packed in thingies, you just
Okay.
all squashed up together so you can't move.
Mm-hmm.
Lemmings, of course. Well, lemmings have got a bit of space, but they can't move without each other, so they all jump over the cliff together, don't they?
Yeah, right.
They got their population control sorted of lemmings. Right, okay, moving on, moving on. Um, this is Metaworld News, of course, where we look at yeah, stuff from virtual worlds, stuff from VR haptics, and yeah, all sorts of stuff. Too numerous to mention. And links to important articles that you can find on that Twitter feed I gave you. Today, and this is the crucial thing, is the 16th of the 5th, in other words, May, of the year 2021.
My
Where do
goodness.
the years go these days? Where do they go?
They
I
go
don't
so
know.
fast.
So, these are news headlines for the 16th, and believe it or not, that also equates with the fact we're live now on YouTube. And it is the 16th. So, not only are our headlines for the week ending 16th, but today is the 16th. Now, isn't that just fascinating? I think I deserve a course. No, praise for delivering a course in instant mathematics. Right. Yoo-hoo! Uh, I knew I was on form today, folks. Yes, I did. Now, talking of today, before we go any further, actually, before we go any further, I better introduce my companion here. It's none other than James Out Loud.
Oh,
Welcome, James.
thank you, Mal. It's good to be here. We had a cold spell in my real world location, and so I
I
felt,
can see.
yeah, I felt I'd like a nice bit of a warming attire today. So
Yeah.
I've got a puffy coat from a store on Sansar named What a Man Store. What a man!
Oh
Oh
boy.
yes, I feel
Uh,
like what a man today with my
very
manly
good.
puffy jacket.
Puffy jacket with a fleece inside the waterproof cover or something like that. There,
That's
down.
right.
Well,
That's
being
right.
virtual, being virtual is all pixels in there. But never mind, never mind.
Mhm.
Well, you're looking nice and warm, and you have not gone plain. This is still colourful.
Mhm.
At least 3 rows of colours in my site there, so it's sort of rainbowy.
Mhm.
Although it isn't dancing and bouncing around, it's the required flamboyant ish. Yeah, never
Is it
mind.
loud,
Okay, folks.
loud as it were? Is it loud?
Of course.
Ah,
Yeah,
all right.
but never mind, never mind. Plays on words that came all over the place here, don't they? It is not a loud t-shirt, but it's a loud
Ah,
snuggle thingy. Right,
very
okay,
good.
okay, and colourful, yeah.
Yep.
So folks at home, I should also explain that James here is multitasking because behind the scenes he's fiddling with all the knobs that help this show go round and round. And like showing you my desktop, and then showing you my avatar, and showing you my desktop again, and then my avatar, and different avatar positions, and sometimes a full screen desktop, and sometimes an encapsulated desktop. It's all fun.
Mhm.
Sort of try to stick a bit of variety in, so you don't get bored. Otherwise, we might as well be a podcast, mightn't we?
Right.
So we show you what we're talking about. Talking of showing you, we might as well move to the first screen I've got up. It's actually a picture screen, the only one I've actually got. up today so we can get it out of the way. Um, Basically, with the educators in VR, their univirtual experience got on from the 1st to the 30th of May. We're about halfway through. Well, no, we're not even. Yeah, halfway through maybe. I've been to a few of those this week, which are interesting as ever. Most of them are in Old Space VR, which I haven't been to, and many other ones are in Engage, which are the ones I'm more likely to get to, so to speak. But this morning, I actually went to one of their sessions in Gather Town. That's gather as in gather up your belongings, dot, and then town as in a miniature city. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Gather Town, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the link I have here won't work anymore because it actually took me to an event that had been set up in Gather Town, so to speak. So it wasn't a default landing space in a virtual world. It was simply a landing point to an instance of an educational thing, and they were basically demonstrating Gather Town. It was quite fun, actually. Um, it's At first I thought, oh, not another one of these, because it's like a floor plan virtual world. Um, but as time went by, I suddenly realised they'd actually got an awful lot else going on, as well as the starting point of the floor plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like in sort of high fidelity's audio thing, you have a dot on a map, and you move your mouse or a keypad, you move your little dot around in the environment, and not as effective as high fidelity, but um, still there. They had a form of spatial audio, so that basically, if you went up to somebody and you were close, their audio came on, and when you moved further away, you lost their audio. So there wasn't any of that fade in, fade out spatial effect, but there was a sort of ability to walk away from a conversation and maybe join another conversation. But what rapidly I realised was that I kept on losing people and wondering what was happening, and it was like they were all teleporting en masse to somewhere else, and I didn't know where they were. Now, actually, that didn't matter too much because it had a row of faces along the top, which were like people on a Zoom call. They were real world faces. Some of them were blacked out, but underneath the real face in the corner, they had an avatar as well. But the less said about those avatars, the better. That's 8-bit pixel jobs, which remind me of, I don't know, computer games of 1990 or something. However, the video and the audio held up really well. So it's good to see who one was talking to. Lorelli, for example, from Educators in VR, and she's been around in OpenSim and Second Life, in fact, over the years, was there. She hid from the camera, so, but she was on voice. Um, but when you moved your little um, 8-bit avatar icon, instead not a DOS, to say a tree, right, that had been raised is not the word, had been plonked on the screen. Um, when you walked into that tree, you immediately appeared in a new location. Now, some of the new locations were floor plans, but some of them had backgrounds that were photos. We spent quite a long time walking around along a path in a wood. Now the wood, as in forest, was photographic, of course, but the path was just centered to it. And there was an odd effect because it wasn't a fully background picture. Your little 8-bit avatar could wander off the path, could actually hide behind one of the trees, even though the tree was part of the photograph. Very odd. It's almost as though the background was one layer up from being a real background, and your avatar could hide behind a tree. I mean, the name tag was showing, so I don't think you could really hide. But anyway, some really quite curious stuff there, and they can embed things like, rich media of YouTube videos, slideshows, and things like that. So the potential for doing quite a lot of things is quite a lot. The only drawback to my mind is the very disappointing way it starts because you just think you're standing on a you know a you know a 2D, not even like, a 2D computer monitor, an actual 2D piece of paper, and your avatar is like a placemark that moves. Um, but it obviously does include a lot more than that. And being clients of the platform itself, GatherTown, they obviously didn't know all the answers to all the questions, because basically they had. It's like getting a region in Second Life. You can't answer all the questions you need Lindens for, you know. So yeah, it's quite sort of happy, and a very chirpy lot of people on video there talking as well. So that was quite interesting. Always good to It's always good the very, very first time you go to a new virtual world, even if it's even the disappointing ones, that if they're different enough, this time is interesting.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
quite like
so
I quite like GatherTown because when speaking about a conference experience, in the during
yeah,
the pandemic, I like the fact that you can be in a lobby and talk with other people casually, or you can go to a room that's birds of a feather and talk about specific topics. You can go to a lecture
yeah,
room and listen to a lecture. So it has that full day experience of a conference that I find
yeah.
lacking in the Zoom video. Where am I going
Oh, for
next? I don't
sure.
know where I am. It provides a sense of orientation in like a
Yeah.
convention or trade show center, which I enjoy that a lot.
Mm. Yeah. No, I did. There was no point was I anxious to get out of there, kind of thing, which says it
Right,
all, really, because
right.
I tire of things quite quickly. Yeah. For sure. And it's promoted as a place to do events, not particularly education. I think it's workplace orientated. The actual Gathertown platform is, but educators fine. You can also set up your own very, very easily, and it's all free until up to 20 attendees. And you really actually have to start paying if you're having a
Right,
big conference with more than 20 attendees. But
right.
if it's just a small classroom, which of course educators would, often say have a classroom for the 15 people, no, they don't need to breach the 20 limit, then highly economical too,
Hmm.
for the moment, should we say. So, yeah, that was great. Unfortunately, I didn't take any snapshots. Uh, there was not a moment of looking at the 2D screen where I thought, oh, that'd make a nice little snapshot, so I completely forgot.
Hmm.
But and also I didn't record it because apparently they were recording it. So hopefully, the little tour, as it were, will be on video. Or so I don't know. I never found out exactly how they're recording it, audio, video, whatever. But who knows? It may pop up somewhere. And equally, not recorded, um, which was interesting, was on Thursday. I'd followed up quite earlier an invite to a panel discussion on the future of work with VR and stuff like that, and that was held in a platform called Virbela. I've been to Virbela many times actually. Before I mention that in full, I'll just point out the illustration that's on screen at the moment. Just as the Univirtual experience will be finishing on the 30th of May, halfway through, right, that was tomorrow morning, ILRN 2021 starts. This is the seventh year of the Immersive Learning Research Network's International Conference, basically. And sponsored by the IEEE Education Society and Virbela, and that is Virbela, which you see down there, is the name of the platform where it's all going to be happening for all of, well, nearly a month for them too, actually. If you can, I think you can actually see here the web address to find out more. It's immersivelrn.org /ILRN 2021. Um, Not much I can say this. This is probably somewhat more academic than the Univirtual event, but I mean, it just shows how dominant education is in the virtual platforms these days. You've got a month-long conference here, which is probably more geared to academia and research, and sort of um, learning for educators kind of thing, and whereas the other one is much more towards the the teachers and educators themselves. But to have two monthly things going on in this what I would think is still a limited field is a way good sign indeed. So whether how much it's got to do with COVID and home working and stuff, I really don't know. But it's a boom time for educators in virtual spaces. Oh, now I should have pointed out, by the way, that the other great thing about GatherTown is that it launches directly as a web page, rather like if you're using Mozilla Hubs
Hmm.
or Frame.io or these various other ones that work on the web. And that's always a boon to me too. I've often thought I'll just make a little group of tabs in my browser. Well, they're not tabs; they're something else, but they work like tabs, and I put them in groups, and um, it's like having a jump page, And if all the virtual worlds that I can get to on the web, I just put the links in a little folder, and then I can, if I've got to go somewhere, I can just jump in, without having to bother to launch a client like Engage or Altspace or Sunflower or Second Life or any of that. So it's really quick and easy. And there are actually a few places that actually are pretty decent looking. For example, Sciencebase looks very good on the web. On one of the yeah, Tivoli, one of the high fidelity offshoots as well. So anyway, so this thing's going on for a month, May 17th to June the 10th, and immersive um, lrn.org is where you can find out more about that. Now, as I said, the other wonderful thing in the week was that another event organised by Vibella themselves as well. So it wasn't part of either of the educational conferences. Amazingly, on Thursday was it was initially a panel discussion on the future of work, immersive work, and there was Kathy Hackey, there was Charles Fisk, and there was Philip Rosedale. Plus, I keep getting blank on his name, but one of the guys, behind the Vibella platform itself, and they all had different kind of takes on things, which was very good. But possibly the best thing was that instead of killing it all off at the end of the hour, oh, by the way, they were recording that too, but again, nothing has appeared yet. Instead of killing it all off at the end of the hour, they invited people who wanted to chat to go up on the stage with them and talk to them. Now, at this point, I mean, Kathy Hackey, for example, vanished within minutes, I think. Maybe she had to run off. But Philip Rosedale and Charlie Fisk hung around, to natter to people. And John Westra, I think it is, and my friend Chaos from Sansar here, but also from Tivoli. Um, Great group of people, a couple of whom I've never spoken to before. Well, Charlie Fisk for one, but also people who've been in the audience who then came up to join the conversation at the end, and that must have gone on for another 2 hours afterwards. So by the time that was over, I really felt I spent half a day, somewhere, kind of thing. Very rewarding too. So hopefully that will actually show up somewhere at a later date. I know Chaos actually posted a whole load of screenshots online, which seem to have gone viral because it's tagged with my name amongst others. But they're not exactly spectacular screenshots, They're sort of very crude avatars with name tags over them. But Vibella itself is another one of those platforms that I must have been over the last year or maybe even two. I must have been to quite a few times for various things. Never to just hang around, but to actually attend something online. And it's another one of these things that works really well. In fact, if Vibella actually worked on the web, it really would be something special to almost compete with GatherTown and all the rest of them. Anyway, with that, it is time to divert or rather pull myself out of the pending rabbit hole and go to our regular news, right? And I'm going to put the pictures away, and James will now be showing you web pages from the last week that I'm going to talk about briefly, hopefully. As ever, we start off with the post from the beginning of the last week, all about the week before that. So there's really anything that's covered in this blog, it's our week peak, is stuff that either we featured on last week's show here, or we didn't because it wasn't within our self-determined remit, so to speak. Anyway, it's a good way of rounding up things. So going back from May the 10th, which was actually that was Tuesday. No, yeah, it's a day late this week. He seemed to be rather busy at the beginning of the week actually. Um, so it's a roundup. Apparently his 200th weekly roundup.
Hmm.
So it's been going for 4 years, or around 4 years, as he says. News of the week,
And who
I
is he?
think, and oh, it's the scarred ghost.
I need to push that
You
button.
know,
You know.
he was waiting for that.
I
He
was.
was waiting for
You know
that.
I was.
I completely forgot. Oh dear, yes, the address is SKARRETGHOST.com. The chap's name is Anthony Patello or something I can never remember. He even introduces himself on video as the Scar Ghost here. He doesn't howl though. I've got to say
No, no.
we should send him that sound effect for him to use as an
Right.
intro to himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pico have launched the Pico Neo 3, which is yet another headset, of course, of course, of course. Um, Also this week, HTC, who made the Vive headset, announced some things. They're going to come up in a minute, but I've got to say, um, everybody was talking beforehand about the conference, because it's actually called the Vive Con, as in convention. And for a manufacturer of a single headset or range of headsets to have their own convention, you know, there's something about it. I just think, commerce. It's not as though they've got a huge fan base like I don't know World of Warcraft, and they actually have a role play convention and stuff like that. They've got I don't know how many users of Vive headsets, yet they have ViveCon. Sorry. It just seems to me that it's a construct, and probably a name that makes people think, oh, it's a convention. I must go to that. I'm a VR person. Um, all they did is they announced quite a lot of things, but it's all to do with, I think, two kind of headsets. So not exactly most exciting. Yeah, new products, Vive Pro 2 and Vive Focus 3, basically. Yeah, remember this is earlier in the week. They were rumored to be launching them then. They're enterprise level headsets, although the cheapest one there's $842. Sorry, €842. It's about $1,000 actually. Nah, well, once it's over 1,000, I assume it's not really for a consumer unless they're a rich one. Right, moving down. Um, Okay, a rerun of the interview with the God Emperor Zuki. And it's hard to have any roundup with the week without a few thousand mentions of Facebook, isn't it? Um, okay, and Cognitions is another thing he discussed, which is a new XR headset. Nothing to do with Vive, by the way, just another headset, and it has EEG sensors to help people with disabilities. But he's done an in-depth article. No, he read an in-depth article at TechCrunch, which I think we've got somewhere, and that put to his skepticism. So it says. Anyway, that's yeah. Then it goes into the games and things, and the Apple Epic trial, and what a trial that's turning out to be. for all parties concerned, really. So anyway, putting that away so we can get on with this week as opposed to last week, but always a good place to go there. Skardghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And with that, we'll move on to oh, I see what I've done. Okay. I'm just going to mention 3 items only before we go any further from the top of my list here. These are actually items you'll find on twitter.com/Metaworld News, right? As opposed to the Malbones feed. The first one is, it was said somewhere else last week, I think, but Hypergood Business have re-mentioned it, and I guess basically what we used to do a couple of shows from there now and again, Kitely, which is a grid, an open sim grid, though it's got its own marketplace and its own kind of sort of working. Um, they apparently have been working behind the scenes to actually speed up texture loading and stuff, provided you are using the Firestorm viewer, which is the first I've come across of a collaboration actually between a grid or platform and the actual Firestone viewer itself. Normally, Firestorm is an independent and very good third-party viewer that you use for Second Life or OpenSim. And it's got its defaults and stuff, but it's rather interesting that Kitely have actually been contributing, basically, I suppose, to what is the base code of Firestorm itself, to speed up the loading of textures and make things look good and equally fast, I guess. So they claim that textures that took 15 to 30 seconds to appear now take less than 2 seconds. And for this to happen, you need to get the March update to the Firestorm viewer. You also need to make sure, by the way, they don't point it out here, but when you update the Firestorm viewer, you do need to make sure you're updating the OpenSim version of the Firestorm viewer. The um, the um, the features Kitely has brought in are going to mean nothing if you download the Second Life version, because it's behind the scenes stuff. It's not going to help Second Life, basically. Um, so builders, creators, shoppers who use Firestorm can now pull textures from the inventories, drop them on objects, and immediately see how they're going to look instead of waiting for them to res. Simples. Simples, as the advert goes. So anyway, you can find out that little summary at hypergridbusiness.com, which is hypergridbusiness.com. And I'm just going to skip down my list here because not the third one here is at the same site. So we're also staying at hypergridbusiness.com. And basically the news that OpenSim regions, this is totality of regions, by the way, not grids, has passed 100,000 milestone, which seems actually fairly phenomenal. But I'm betting you that given the oh, no, I'm right. Yeah, given the way they count these things, Hypergrid Business does not normally count the what's it? Not OpenSim. Uh,
Like grids
bang.
that don't
Open.
report.
Yeah, open worlds grid. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But however you look at it, the fact that there's a landmass on OpenSim of 100,000 regions is pretty damn phenomenal. I have a feeling that may be more, because it hasn't shrunk in any way at all. And there was one point, certainly, where the landmass of OpenSim, although not so easily accessible, but the actual landmass of OpenSim was greater than that of Second Life. But there again, you're including an awful lot of grids and regions. The only real comparison you can make is that they have a unifying address system, which makes you think it's all one grid when in fact it's lots and lots of grids. Where a Second Life, of course, is one single grid. So there's lots of differences there. And, Yeah. Anyway, so again, hypergridbusiness.com for that news release. And as usual, despite the title, they've actually got various other here. This is it. Here they're talking about stats not including Outworld's Dream Grid and Hyperica. And yeah. Oh, and then the usual list of who's top there. Heidi, we just mentioned, is at number 7. And OS Grid is always number 1. They could probably have one user and they still keep it at number 1. Avi World's extraordinary. They're at number 3. When they come back, they do come back with a bit of a bounce. I'm not going. Not going to go back. Craft World at number 12. There's another good one. Discovery Grid 16. Let me see. Fire and Ice Grid at 23. Third Rock Grid. They've been around for a long, long while. They're back in the ratings at 25. So yeah, interesting stuff. And you know it's hypergrid business. There's a graph. Yes, this is a well. The post is David's, but I bet you the graph is Maria's. She does a graphs. She does. Anyway, Kind of Market, by the way, has delivered orders to 510 OpenSim grids to date. So they've got a fairly good customer base there. If all their customers have 510 different grids, they don't say how many actual customers those are, but it must be quite a lot at that rate. Okay, so moving on. This is virtualpeers.com. virtualpeers.com. Alexina Proctor is a very familiar name. Now, basically, on the beginning of May, they had a grand opening of the Senda Londi Community Library and Theatre on somewhere called Wellspring, which is on the Kitely grid. And at the same time, they had the first performance of the Senderlone Theatre and the first exhibit, Shipwrights of Kitely. So you can get there on Kitely, but the fun thing here is I'm going to have to switch to their website. Here we are. So the exhibit they mentioned here, the grand exhibit, which I guess is still running. It just started on May the 8th. Easy to not see this, but embedded here is actually the catalogue for the exhibition. You click on it and it opens up here in a screen on top, basically. And as you can see, as I flick through it, you've got a nice catalogue of everything that was going on here. So I don't know whether you can actually download this as separately or anything, but it's a nice little read anyway. So some of the people involved. And 23 or 35, yes, 35 pages. Come on. Hurry up and Rose, hurry up and Rose. Here we go. You can see what it's like anyway. So there you go. So read that in full by yourself, so to speak, by what I want is it. By going to virtualpeers.com, virtualpeers.com. And we can now put that one away and get back to the stuff, twitter.com/Malburns links, so to speak. Having done the XR week peak, we are now fully and really, really properly into the week. And Kathy Yaki, who I mentioned earlier, because she was listening in the week, Forbes are really, you'd almost think the whole magazine is going to become virtual worlds VR based. Kathy Hackey has her column, Charlie Fisk has her column, and they've actually been producing quite a few standalone articles during the week too. So yeah, unfortunately, Forbes is for most of you, after 3 stories a month, it's behind a firewall. So the only way it's actually displaying for me here is that the firewall doesn't seem to affect my ability to load the page into to be converted into the reader format. So naughty am I. But they're doing PR for them, so who cares? Right, okay, so they're talking about brand stories and investments dispatched from the metaverse. Everybody's blog these days has metaverse in the title, and every company under the sun has a metaverse division. somewhere. One of the things we really were talking about on Thursday was the total and utter abuse of the phrase metaverse now, and the number of people claiming ownership to building the metaverse. Oh, well, an open platform, but we are behind our own firewall. If you see what I mean. Yeah. Well, yes, I do. And yes, well, more about that. Right. So this is a new weekly comment to bring you some highlights of the week. And again, it's near the beginning of the week. Avatar Startup Genies. I think we finished that last week. Um, a branded virtual world SK2 City. I have noticed a few, and I haven't got them posted up here. We'll be here all day, but there are actually virtual branded worlds coming online too. That I don't mean they've got a trademark name. I mean they're literally branded for very specific commercial use. Um, and Ski 2 City is a mini virtual world based on the streets of Tokyo, and it's actually a wing of a global skincare brand called SK2. So, when you read about the launch of this little world, you're really getting an advert for um, a skincare product. So it's really getting in everywhere. And this is one area Cassie seems to cover quite substantially, not just here and now, but in general posts on Twitter and stuff. Um, I love this expression. The metaverse made it to court during the Apple and Epic trial, of course. Epic Games are losing no time to refer to their metaverse. In other words, it's Fortnite, but it's now called the metaverse. Right. Upland New Cities. What is this? Is a non-fungible trinket-based metaverse that is mapped to real-world locations. And Telecom launches the Metaverse project, K-pop's Metaverse. And the fascinating thing on Thursday was I was resisting this, but I was criticizing everybody who said, half of these people who would normally have talked about the metaverse in the past, suddenly our language has changed. Um, Charlie Fisk and Kathy Hackett particularly were referring not to the metaverse, but metaverses. Because since everybody's got a metaverse now, we can't just have a metaverse, can we? So there's lots of metaverses, which rather puts paid to Will Burns's sort of, four levels thing of metadata, um, followed by metaspace, followed by meta worlds, followed by meta galaxies, followed by metaverse. So, and metaverse was always the highest. It was the conglomerate umbrella that covered everything. But apparently, these umbrellas have been shrunk in size now, and every platform's got its own umbrella called its metaverse. And I was telling them how despondent I was. I refuse to use the word metaverse in plural. I'm sorry, I don't. It's just not right. It's always been a singular. Anyway, I'm not going to give you all Kathy's news for her, but obviously, as you can see from me scrolling here, there's a fair old bit to read there. So the address you want, you'll get to if you follow the link from my Twitter feed at twitter.com slash malbirds. I was going to say slash Twitter, dear me. Um, you will probably the link will take you to this exact page. But otherwise, you need to go to Forbes.com and look up the article. But it was earlier in this week anyway, so it's FORBES.com. Moving on. And another site that hits the radar now and again is called theconversation.com. TheConversation.com. And the title of this is How Game Worlds Are Preparing Humanitarian Workers for High Stakes Scenarios. And they still remember Second Life, which is rather nice, really, isn't it? Rather, they've actually chosen an introduction to Second Life as a good introduction to what they're talking about. Um, uh, it began with Second Life and continues with other platforms for living in an altered digital reality with purposeful activity and socially rich online worlds, basically. The pandemic has spread a new dependence on these technologies for work and social engagement. And then it goes on about here. Um, People having access to extensive social connections with any other people in those virtual worlds, and hundreds of other people communicating simultaneously in real time on Discord. So you have a combination of massive 3D game and real-time voice communications, to integrate a reassuring space when the external world was cut off. Blah blah blah, and yeah, building new simulations and various other things. Game worlds specifically for medical and aid workers. Um, so obviously we're talking about some platforms, especially medical and commercial research things. They're virtual worlds you can collaborate in, but they leave out anything that isn't specific to their field of interest. So, you're not going to have a nightclub in a virtual world devoted to molecular science, for example. So, so what they're looking at here is they're pointing out the things that, what we call the frontline workers and international food aid and stuff like that, how these socially conscious sort of things are also using virtual worlds and can't even World of Warcraft in there. So they're covering a whole load of stuff there. So the website you want for this is theconversation.com, TheConversation.com. Moving on, and another platform here, which has similarities to social worlds. This is actually IMVU, which has been going more or less as long as Second Life, as far as I know. It's got 7 million active users a month. Most of them are female, all female identifying, they say, with an age group between 18 and 24. So obviously, if you're of a sort of my age, it's not surprising that under normal circumstances you probably never heard of IMVU. So it's very much a young demographic and has stayed a young demographic. When you think that they've been around for more than 10 years, as a Second Life, you've got to remember, like kids who grow up on computer games and are into something when they're 10 years old, by the time they're 20, they've moved on. All that stayed is their knowledge and familiarity with the platforms. You know, a gamer who's been brought up on gaming instantly knows what the virtual world's all about, sort of. There's no such thing when I was growing up, so it all came dived in later. So many people have probably moved on from IMVU into other more mature platforms, but then again, new young people are coming into and staying with IMVU. So it's been successful in kind of focusing on that age group itself. Um, Rather than say, I remember there used to be some girls' teenage magazines in Britain here, Honey or Babe or something like that, when I was young, right? And some of them deliberately moved with their audience. So they were sort of grabbing, they launched and grabbed the teenage market when the teenagers were in their early teens. And over the years, the editorial stance of the magazine moved to reflect the aging demographic of the readers they had. But of course, after a certain amount of time, like a decade or so, suddenly they're no longer a teenage magazine. So the ones that want to stay in the teen market obviously have to reinvigorate themselves and be constantly trying to attract new audiences. And I think IMVU, when it comes to this sort of metaverse, is sort of doing that. Anyway, yeah, this actual article is about the fact that the metaverse is so called. Well, they do go for apostrophe s. First runway show is coming, and Kalina Strada, Mo Walalula, and Gypsy Sport are headlining. I have not a single clue who Kalina Strada, Mo Walalula, and Gypsy Sport are, but they're heading it. If I actually give you the address where this article is, then I think we better take this seriously. It's actually Vogue, VOGUE.com. Vogue, of course, is a female orientated, mostly fashion magazine. And presumably these names are stock in trade for Vogue magazine. And yeah, okay, the web page looks like it's got. Let's have a quick look at the web page. It's always nice to, unless it crashes or becomes a paywall, it's always worth having a little peek. Yeah, I accept. Okay. Okay, the web page is quite colourful. These Avatar is alien. These are gypsy sport. James.
What's
Adverts
that?
for
What's that?
costumes by something called Gypsy Sport.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
recognize.
well,
Sorry.
no, I don't know. No, it's, yeah, I'm reading out the captions, but actually, I mean, now I'm on the website. It's more colourful, but that's just about it. I think I'm better off on the reader. Oh, right. So we got the odd picture coming up now. Yeah. Okay, so if you're interested in the runway fashion show happening in IMVU, you can read all about it at vogue.com, vogue.com, which I imagine, being a magazine like that, means that the event will actually get a lot of extra attention from the readers of Vogue, who themselves must be a rather large army. Okay, returning to the scarredghost.com, which means, of course, woohoo! Yes, indeed. The Howl. Scarred Ghost. Oh, it sounds like a movie, doesn't it? Okay, V2EC, eye tracking accessory for Vive Focus 3 and Vive Virtual Character announced. Okay, I mentioned earlier that the ViveCon thing announced Focus 3 and Vive Pro 2. And so Skull Ghost also followed V2EC, which was a Vive ecosystem conference that happened in Engage, which represented the Chinese counterpart of the ViveCon itself. It was 3 a.m. and his, oh, well, yeah, he's gone on about that. There's a character called Mr. President, but he was speaking in Chinese. I don't know whether that's the president of HTC or whether it's the character called Mr. President. But as you can see, he was delivering, all the stuff to do with Vive, both worldwide and China, of course. And let me see. Yeah, various things. Right, I'm just going to play this one quickly. I think it's short. This was the thing that wasn't covered in a lot of the coverage of ViveCon, and they've introduced a virtual character as part at the conference. Okay, well, we don't have any translation. Here we are. Ooh, look! He's got a girlfriend as Mr. President. Okay, I like the review here. I have to admit, I understood almost nothing when V was speaking. Her voice sounded like a bit distorted. She was speaking in Chinese, and for me, it was 3:30 in the morning. Luckily, the press release about it is in English, so you can report on who she is. And that she's actually entered the stage whilst the CEO, I think, the host, was speaking. Yeah, so Scarred Ghost or not, I'm going to leave it to you to decide whether you want to click through and read that thing. But a bit specific, but interesting that they introduced that avatar virtual character, rather, they call her, at the same time. So moving on, and we are going to the news at MIT, which is Massachusetts Institute of Technology, of course. So it's news, news dot mit dot edu, edu. And Yeah, this is well very related to avatars in a way. It's or rather what we may have in the future instead of avatars, and that is real-time 3D holograms. Um, Despite the hype, VR headsets have yet to topple TV or computer screens as the go-to to devices for viewing. Um, VR can make users feel sick, nausea, eye strain, etc., etc., etc. The solution for better 3D visualization could lie in a 60-year-old technology remade for the digital world, namely, wait for it, holograms. And I must say, I should have known this, but you know, when I read this, it was like a question somewhere. It said, "We look at a 60-year-old technology being remade for the digital world," and that's all I was told, right? In um, a link or something. I was, what on earth can be 60 years old that's relevant? But of course, the answer is holograms, and 60 years actually really only takes us back to 1960. So, when you are of a certain age, it's actually not that long ago. But yeah, one does forget that they go back there. Uh, Check out the holographic dial on your Visa card, for example. Holograms offer a shifting perspective based on the viewer's position, and they allow the eye to adjust focal depth to alternate focus on foreground and background. And research have long sought to make computer-generated holograms. Well, they're getting there. I don't think you're going to find an average hologram walking out of your TV set and serving you coffee for a few years yet, but you never know. Okay. They feel like neural networks are born to this task, and the work is supported in part by Sony as well. So, to read more about that, you want news.mit.edu. Moving on, and we're back with that howling one.
Again.
Again, and actually, this is really a bit out of out of my league, but in a way, it's quite appropriate given our sound effect. Zombieland.
Mm-hmm.
Skull Ghost did an interview with Jake Sim of Sony Pictures, and they were talking about Zombieland, the VR game, and how to turn existing international property into amazing VR content. And you'd think the world would be sick of zombie things by now. Even vampire things are acceptable. Zombies, come on. But anyway, yeah. Um, I won't mention this later actually because you can find it here. Um, um, I've actually got it tagged separately to show you as a VP. Okay, actually.
Hello, I'm super happy to be here today with you with Jake Zin, Senior Vice President of Virtual Reality at Sony Entertainment.
Okay. It's very legible. This not so much Scott Guest himself, but his guest speaks perfect English. Yeah, it's a sign of the times, Sony Pictures Entertainment. Uh, well, it's got a different division, Sony Pictures Interactive Entertainment, but the goes on to explain all that. And of course, Sony are behind PlayStation. Um, yeah, well, interesting interview anyway, and not unrelated to virtual worlds, although obviously a lot of what Sony do is more media tie-ins to do with games and things, and certainly Zombieland is very much the thing there. I am reminded, I saw something mentioned here. Oh yeah, PlayStation. Um, I am a big rabbit. Sorry, here comes a brief rabbit hole. I'm a big fan of Discord, and I almost just as some people used to live in Second Life or OpenSim or things. So I think these days I almost live in Discord when I'm not in Feedly and other readers, um, because of so many servers and so many divisions within them. There's so much you can do in one place, and you can maintain your world contacts, as it were, in Discord too. Because if you start friending people from different servers and sending invites to your own friends, and it becomes your database of people as well as a database of places. Even though Discord doesn't actually have a virtual world itself, it can easily launch an URL to something like Mozilla Hubs or whatever, and you can view that by following a link in a Discord channel. Um, what was very interesting is recently, a couple of weeks ago, there was rumors that, well, I don't think there were rumors exactly, that the almighty Microsoft, one of the big kings of the tech world, was trying to get by basically Discord. A hostile takeover, I think is the expression. Discord really put their foot down and said they were never going to sell their own thing, which one kind of admires. And I think I might, I don't know whether I'm right in saying this, but I have a hunch that something happened that may have to do with this. What they seem to have immediately done about a week ago was they've given themselves an association with Sony, which means that Discord, which of course it's now moving into other things than games and stuff. It has been for a long while, but it made its name as a kind of social system that rides alongside games for gamers. So what the deal they've come up with Sony is that Discord will now be a major part of PlayStation's interface. Now, talk about virtual worlds and gaming and all that kind of things, but we know how big PlayStation is even these days. You don't even get on the tour bus of a rock band without finding about 6 of them, you know. Um, and for adults, for kids, and everything, PlayStation is the go-to console. And of course we now have PlayStation VR and stuff. For an independent product like Discord to enter the PlayStation platform itself is interesting to say the least. But significantly, I don't think Microsoft are going to be making too many hostile takeover bids for a company that is now tied in independently, I add, not owned by Sony. I gather Sony are taking some shares or whatever it is in Discord. So presumably they would vote against moves for Discord to be taken over by anybody else. But whatever. So that could prove very interesting because obviously I've got things on Windows here, I've got things on my Mac, and things on the iPad, things on Android, and not only is Discord on all of those, but the servers on Discord are often subdivisions that relate only to those. For some servers on Discord are just for Second Life. There's a just for Android apps and things like that. But the good thing is the Discord interface itself is on every platform. So you can be running an instance of it on Macintosh, and you could actually be reading a group in Discord or receiving messages from, say, a group that's set up to on some kind of PlayStation world. And that is kind of interesting. Of course, eventually they'll probably have Facebook worlds. I'd rather not have any Facebook worlds in my Discord, thank you. But you never know. Probably. Well, VR chat is already. No, hang on. VR chat. What is it? Horizon and something else. Sorry, my mind is drifting. I better get on with the news, but I did think worthy of mentioning that. So, scarredghost.com again for that interview with Sony. Moving down, now talk about tactile stuff. Geeky gadgets. There's something called Hair Touch. It lets you feel hair in virtual reality. And it's a new concept designed for virtual reality, enabling users to feel in VR, whether it be the hair of a virtual reality animal or other textures within virtual worlds. It's been developed by researchers whose names I will not even try to pronounce, Chinese by the look of it, using Arduino Mega Board and a custom 3D printed frame to fill hair or fibers of varying lengths. If you ever wanted to feel the difference between the virtual tabby cat and the virtual Maine Coon, this is the haptic feedback gadget you've been looking for. So it uses a series of servo motors and a head touch adjusts the bristles of a brush, and it can control how far the bristles protrude, which is related to their rigidity. It will also adjust the angle of the bristles so the user can differentiate between the feel of a Pomeranian from a collie. Anyway, just to give you a little sneaky peeky, seems to be what it's all about.
To enhance realism in virtual reality. For example, we often test the stiffness and roughness of the pillow when we are shopping. We propose a pin-based device providing various stiffness, roughness, and surface height differences using reconfigurable hair structure. Some methods manually or automatically.
Hello, I got a wheelie. God, I was getting this earlier. I think my ISP may be doing some iffy stuff.
Your audio's good, so no problem there.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah, mine. Yeah, or it could be YouTube too. Okay. Anyway, what you want is geekygadgets.com. Yes, no, obvious place to go, really. Geeky Gadgets, isn't it? GEEKY dash GADGETS.com. So let's hear it for the Geeky Gadgets. I don't know whether we have. Oh yeah, I would do. we got a sound effect for Scar Ghost, but
appreciation.
I mean, we don't really go to Geeky Gadgets that often, but somehow I feel like we should have something to announce them with.
But
right,
the crowd
moving
liked
on,
it. The crowd liked
yeah,
it.
they liked it anyway. So thank you guys and gals and strange furries.
Yep.
Right, Spatial unveils web browser collaboration in 3D workspace and non-fungible trinket virtual galleries, NFT virtual galleries. Hereinafter, I'm referring to NFT as non-fungible trinkets. I don't care what it's supposed to be tokens, but that's far too serious for my liking. Non-fungible trinkets, and that doesn't mean they've. That means the absence of fungus growing on the trinkets.
Oh, okay.
Non-fungible, yeah.
Non-fungible.
Non-fungus trinkets. I know what it's all about now. There we are. So, NFT. Spatial can now show off NFT art in its virtual galleries. And there you have a picture of it kind of doing this. Spatial, in this instance, seems to be another legless environment. Spatial's been getting a lot of acclaim recently, actually, from people on the Twistosphere and blogs.
Yeah, is that spatial.io?
Now
there are two spatials. Yeah.
There are two, aren't there?
Yeah.
Okay, this instead of galleries and use NFTs, so this is obviously a money sort of business thing. AR web mobile Spatial's website. Here we are. Come on, show me where the link goes. Oh, I usually have a pop-up thing that shows me where it's going. Okay, I just open it quickly. This one, it's not even going to Spatial. It's going to Eventbrite. Okay, Spatial IO.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and yeah, if you go to Eventbrite, you can join their community. I'm not going to go through all that.
Yeah, that was the service that Philip put his spatial audio into. Was spatial.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, he's got some connections back from the days when he was promoting blockchains and stuff. He's been taking an interesting stance with Elon Tusk last week. Well, Elon Tusk actually said he said that because of the cost of the planet, he's no longer supporting Bitcoin. I think it is. And if you want to buy one of his Tesla cars, you can't do it now by paying in virtual currency or bitcoins. And Philip popped up and said, "That's good."
Oh,
I thought that's a bit odd because about a few years ago, of course, at the dawn of fidelity of the 3D world, the idea of blockchain and stuff like that, for identifying goods and counts and stuff, did seem to be the brave new thing on the horizon there. But of course, there's a cost to everything, and well, Elon Tusk is the one who started it, of course, sort of s- screaming that all this stuff, server resources, it's depleting the planet more. It's like people say, "Oh, virtual worlds." That was, we don't have to fly anymore and anything, which is actually true because save on airline fuel and a lot of time for that matter. But you've got to remember that the cost of running services which like 3D web, or on the web or on the internet at all, there's a huge energy requirement to run those kind of servers and stuff. And uh, it's one thing that actually, I think the God Emperor may have got right in that most of Facebook's services, I gather, are deep underground in Iceland, and they use hardly any electricity because they're cold anyway. But in Iceland, of course, all energy is what's it?
geothermal.
Geothermal, yeah. So one of the few places in the world you can go, and they've got, the nature provides the free electricity for you. So that kind of makes sense. And I know from years ago, I don't know whether I know that Google built a big hydroelectric built a dam for hydroelectric to power their backbone. But that was years ago, and you can only imagine to what extent the requirements have gone up over the years, and whether those, it's okay building a hydroelectric facility in 2005, but unless unless there's about 20 more of them now, they're probably not anything like that, coping like the demands that would be needed these days. So anyway, I'm in this. Yeah, so Spatial IO was your answer, James.
That's right.
Yeah, so you can go in AR, VR, mobile, or on the web. So one of the things it's got going for, of course, is you can get to it anywhere really. In fact, I think I don't know where you get it must be the only one that includes VR, mobile, the web, and AR. It's interesting. I mean, the only similar thing I can think of is Sciencebase, which has its own client on Mac and Windows, and is available on mobile and is available on the web. But even so, I don't know whether. I don't think even that's in AR, whatever that means. So anyway, it wants collaborative 3D spaces to be experienced by the masses. And this is the first time anyone across headset mobile desktop can walk around spatial virtual rooms with full avatar functionality and controls to share, collaborate, or view content with others. And some quotes from the CEO. And yeah, and link to. Actually, it doesn't link, but they do. This is the second time today I saw a so-called link to Discord, which isn't a hyperlink at all. It doesn't go anywhere. What's the point in putting something on the web without a hyperlink? Never mind. Um, anyway, yeah. Oh, that's Transform 21, July 12th to 16th is an event happening in Spatial too, which would explain why I got to what was it, Meet Space or something a minute ago. Okay, so this actual article is at VentureBeat, of course. Dean Takahashi reporting there, and that's sorry, VENTUREBEAT.com. I'm moving on. And I think there's only one this week, but this is voicesofvr.com. Ken Barry's wonderful podcast site, VOICESOFVR.com. We're up to 993, show number that is. And HTC's China president, Alvin Wang Grailin, talks about Vive Focus, Vive Pro, Vive Business Software, and VTubing tracking peripherals. So this is kind of interesting. Basically, that I was cynical earlier about the ViveCon or whatever it is that HT put on Tuesday. Vive Focus is standalone VR HMD with massive pixels, etc. Anyway, Kent Bai, who's always seems to be on the spot for these things, had a chance to talk with the Chinese president of HTC about the new headsets, the launch of Vive Business, and more context on their Vive XR ecosystem, including Vive trackers, facial tracker, and trends of virtual idols and VTubers, including their new virtual spokesman named V. And V was the woman we sort of, Resing wasn't quite the word, was it? But we saw her appearing on stage with him earlier. As opposed to his own Twitter thread. And I guess that's the link. Can't see the. Um, Oh yeah, well, you got it down there anyway. So you can read those little bits of stuff or head straight through to the podcast. The podcast itself is available directly on a whole load of podcast platforms if you don't want to go via the web. Right, moving on. This is a real oddity. I looked at this and I wrote VR and I thought, this is rather quirky. Well, but obviously very useful. Ben Lang reports that there's a site called Locomotion, and it's one of the sorry, locomotion itself is one of the most fundamental elements any VR experience has because it directly influences the source of experience the user can have and how comfortable the experience can be. Since the inception of the medium, academics and developers have created a staggering number of ways to move around in VR, all with their pros and their cons. The Locomotion Vault is a research project which catalogues more than 100 locomotion techniques to help the field codify the space and identify gaps for innovation. That's a nice idea. It's a vault containing all the possible VR movement techniques they can find. I bet you that's going to be really valuable. I'm not being cynical here. There will be people, I bet, who find that who could find the idea of having all that stuff in one place really useful. Yeah, it looks like they've even got charts and stuff there. So this information you'll find at roadtovr.com, roadtovr.com, and yeah, it's all part of OpenXR. And they're just giving some credit to Sony at the bottom there. University of Birmingham, University of Washington, University of Copenhagen, and Microsoft Research of the four main players in creating the Locomotion Vault, which is an interactive database with 109 VR movements and characterized with a range of attributes like posture, speed, multitasking, and energy required, etc., etc. So interesting, if somewhat specialized, shall we say, on that one. Right, scrolling down a bit more. Okay, after another cancelled year in the desert, Burning Man plans a virtual event. It had a virtual event last year. In fact, it had too many virtual events last week for me to count. There was a Burning Man in Second Life. There always has been. There was a Burning Man in Sansar. There was another on Somnium Space. You name it, every virtual world platform had the Burning Man in it. It's like they're all calling themselves a metaverse these days. It would be nice to actually have a wonderfully cohesive build of the Burning Man online in a virtual space that was extensive and you could all gather there together. But I don't know. This is the organisation behind Burning Man, anyway, that are trying to do something. They're releasing tickets, and the online events will take place between August 22nd and September 7th. And they're trying to get as creative as possible. Right, Right. Most of the creators behind last year's experience are back this year, including a few VR-centric experiences and a handful of live streaming and Zoom-based apps. To spice things up a little, apps include BRCVR, Builder Burn, lovely, Dusty Universe, the Infinite Player, that's the one around before, Sparkleverse, which is video chat, and a live stream platform called Burn Week. And yeah. So all the information you want about that, you'll find at techcrunch.com, techcrunch.com. And back to Forbes, no wonder, forbes.com. And this is Kathy Hackey. Sorry, this
It
is
looks similar. Yeah.
yeah, it's actually the same. Why it may there's sometimes links. The one thing Charlie Fisk does it too. He keeps on twittering the same link, almost twice a day until a new one comes along, and sometimes you get these things coming in twice and don't realize it.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's Kathy Hackey's column at Forbes.com. Moving on. This site is itbusinessedge.com. itbusinessedge.com. And asking the question, can immersive technology remake the workplace experience? And hang on a second, I just need a bit of liquid. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what they call cold coffee, but never mind. I told James before I came out on air, so that was lovely, as long as I remember to drink it. Right. Epic Games, again, talking about Travis Scott's virtual reality performance, etc. in Fortnite. Testament to the shifting winds of the COVID-19 pandemic. Where are we? Oops, sorry about that. Okay, this is actually covering quite a lot, and you can really tell from the title. It's asking the question and then coming up with various examples of things going on that may provide answers to it. So, can immersive technology remake the workplace experience? I would actually say probably augment the workplace experience, the way things are going. But it'd be nice if it could remake them too. I don't know. IT Business Edge is what you want here. So it's all one word, itbusinessEdge.com. And talking of Forbes again, this is the one we were waiting for. This is Charlie Fink's column for this weekend. This week in XR, new enterprise VR HMDs from Pico and HGC, Epic, App Store, and the judge hints at compromises on the Apple Epic showdown. It's like a big show, something shootout at the OK
Shootout, right?
Well, in this case, the Epic. Never mind. Come up with some silly remark. I can't remember what it is anymore. Right. Niantic expanding developer platform with Lightship. Yeah, a spatial collaboration. There we are. That again is spatial I/O. It's more or less the same article we were looking at earlier. Matterports. 5 million buildings have been scanned. 3D architecture, really, or building, shall I say. Volumetric Format Association founded. Interesting. More of a trade sort of organization, but Unity, Intel, Nvidia, and Canon. I don't know who the other two are, but yeah. Virtual Burn tickets on sale. Apple announced Advanced Manufacturing Fund, and and an advert for the video version. Right, okay, so you find that at Forbes.com, Forbes.com. Right, now this next one is rather interesting. This is blogs.worldbank.org. So
Mm.
blogs.worldbank.org. And they're asking whether virtual reality simulators can help develop students' skills. Um, World Bank sounds like an odd place to get these things, but there again, I mean, the World Economic Forum and loads of virtual reality discussions and things going on in it. So these technologies, all simulation technology, really is all coming really into the mainstream now, but not maybe in the way that some of us, casual users expect. This recent study was supported by the Korea World Bank Partnerships Facility. So is that the World Bank per se? Well, yeah, I think it is because worldbank.org is the site where this is. Um, right. Primary experiments assessing the effects on student learning. Um, right. A study can be summarized as follows, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of it. I really, my mind is not quite up to scanning all this and commentating it in one place. So you want blogs.worldbank.org for that one. And this is actually where I started the show. I was actually showing you the poster for the IRRN 21 7th Annual Conference of the Immersive Learning Research Network. This link, of course, you'll find at twitter.com. For some reason, here's another example. That's their website, but there's no URL, nothing to click on. I don't know how you can have a web page with a web address that doesn't show up as clickable, but never mind. Same as there. What it does do, however, is right. This actual site is actually where you need to go to get tickets. And from what I could tell at the moment, it didn't add to my calendar, and also the tickets sort of when I clicked on it earlier, I got the $400 rather than the naught.
Hmm.
Oh no, there you are, free general admission, and you can book your tickets there. So presumably, that site takes care of the ticketing, and then that connects to the real site, and they send you a receipt or whatever. Seems to be the way most of these things work. And I was trying to just add it to my calendar for reference, but it wasn't happening. So it may be that this site, something is not quite right about it at the moment. The site I'm at now, by the way, is eventbrite.com, eventbrite.com, who are obviously handling ticket sales. So if you follow my Twitter link to this, it's actually taking you to Eventbrite rather than the website that doesn't work at all at the moment. So probably just gremlins at the time when I bookmarked this, but who knows? Right, let's get back to the standard view. Right, moving on from Eventbrite, and yeah, this is my final text link actually, so the end of the day here. The new 3D Apple arriving at WWDC, which is their thing. Now, this is odd. You probably know that I don't normally avoid rumor and stuff. I don't consider it news. And just because it's Robert Scoble, of course, who else, I wouldn't really consider it news either. But as he starts this off by saying he's been talking with hundreds of people across the industry and have discovered that the changes coming to Apple are far deeper than just a VR AR headset, way deeper. And he says the changes already being worked into products represent tens of billions of dollars of investment. And Tim Cook has spent over 40 billion getting ready for this over the past decade. In other words, they're preparing something that's already taken 10 years in preparation. And not all of this will be announced at WWDC. There will be a few announcements over the next year. Now, Apple are a very secretive company, so this was a fascinating article to read. If anybody's in a position to, I don't know, talk to influential people and actually speculate, yeah, and put things together, he possibly is. Um, But he says the first thing you need to know is the change is coming a way deeper than just a VR headset, which would be important enough on its own. So what is Apple getting ready to announce in the next year? And he's got this list, and I don't really know how he's come up with this, and whether it's speculation or not. But one, a new real-time 3D map of the entire world. Could it be they're trying to get into Google Maps and territory and stuff? A new rebuilt Siri and a new search engine. A new mesh network which will be built off your iPhone, and it distributes AI workloads to M1 chips in your home. In other words, if you've got a new iPad or the new M1 Max, they will start to become a mesh network in their own right. A new VR AR headset that he calls a TV killer, or the holodeck, with many devices being planned for the next decade, ranging from glasses to contact lenses. And it sounds like contacts in 2022, glasses sometime before 2025. So that's a bit ahead. That's what I say. It's Robert Scoble, but it does seem like speculation, really, in some ways. A new kind of programmatic surround sound. Spatial audio is just a start. A new 3D experience for inside motor cars. That presumably is just allowed to drive cars. Eventually, a new car service itself, to which I would say the same as the above. A new operating system, but for wearables on the face and on computers. So, in the same way they've got iOS and iPad OS and Mac OS, they'll probably have Face OS. Well, maybe I'll call it something else, but a new operating system for wearables, basically. A new set of tools for developers to build all this. A new 3D services for things like music, fitness, education, and more. New portable gaming device that will interact with this 3D world. A new 3D audio service. Leaks from 9 to 5 Mac. Yesterday about that, and a new kind of noise cancelling built on array microphones. An early version of this is arriving on the new iMacs, and a new kind of video and audio sharing network, so we'll be able to have all sorts of new walkie-talkie like features. Now, Robert Scoble's Robert Scoble, and you would expect he's come up with those and knows about this on good authority, having talked to lots of people in the business, and he's well placed to be talking to them. But either there's a hell of a lot of unusual leaks going on, or this is more than Apple would normally ever give away. So I really don't know what to think. But it's fitting. It's fitting that this is the last post of the day, because whatever. He's even opened up a new Twitter account. Apple XR strategy. In fact, that one will work, won't it? I'm going to follow that one too. I already follow Robert, of course, but no, I don't want to unfollow. Yeah, following, there we are. Right. Oh, God. Oh, I can't put it away, can I? I need to overwrite it. Okay. Okay, so yeah, fascinating stuff to read there at scobleizer.blog, SCOBLEIZER.BLOG, and that's it. So to speak. I'm going to clear all the items from the reading list there, which is good. I can now hide the reader. No, I don't want to do that, do I? Right. Okay, now the other side of my screen, I have Discord open. Oh, I'm on the wrong server, but sort that out quickly. All right. Okay, so I've got links here. 13th of May was Jake Sim on Zombieland VR. That was one that we saw embedded in Scar Ghost's blog earlier. There is a short video about Room Key, which is I remember. Oh Lord, what's going on? Oh, that's not. Could be. I click on it. Yeah, there we are, Safari. Weird. Okay.
The end if you've got any questions. However, if you have any problems, feel free to use that just to call it out during the event. Or, of course, we have the chat function there just to pop something there and
Okay, so Think Different with guest speaker Don Stein. Don Stein is the actual founder of RoomKey.co, which if I believe, well, basically that's all there is. This is an interview with him. I believe RoomKey, if I remember, is one that you can get to on the website. In other words, it's a web world. I may be wrong, and there may be a standalone client too. I'm sure you'll find out if you listen to the whole thing. But being an hour and 15 minutes, you're not going to be listening to it on this show. so, so much for that then, eh? right. Okay. Next up, I have. Oh yeah, probably one that should be watched. Okay. Um, this is from VR ARA presents, and it's a session on VR, AR, and accessibility. VR AR Association Los Angeles. I'm super excited to hook. Since it's about accessibility, they've got an interpreter there. But yeah, she has a number. She has a number of guests in the call there, and they're all basically talking about accessibility in VR. Christopher Patel, Magic, and Matthew King, Joe Devon. Actually, none of them actually names I particularly know, but then again, it's a specialised field here, but probably very relevant to anybody working in virtual worlds who's concerned about um, virtuality. And in fact, Lorelli at the thing this earlier today, one of her first questions was actually, what about accessibility? And shame on the platform. What's his name? Oh, Town something. Is again.
GatherTown?
What? Yeah, GatherTown. Yeah. Sadly, they didn't seem to know too much about accessibility features on the platform. But again, they were a client, not the actual host of the platform. So yeah, you'll find this one at VR AR Association, at VR slash AR space association, and that's their YouTube address. And you can also go to the VRARA, to VRARA.com, which we feature our link pages quite often. Right, so that was that one. Okay, moving on. Did I'm sorry, did I actually? I'm not sure when we went to this one, and I forget whether I actually. Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I actually give it out.
then you should be able to use that.
The subscriber you want there is RoomKey, which is the name of the platform they're talking about there. So that was RoomKey on that previous one. Right. Moving on again. Now the Univirtual Experience, which has been going on all month, so we're halfway through it there, I guess. They've had a few things up during the course of the week. The best ones for watching, at least, tend to be in Engage. This is talking about language education or translating language education into VR. This happened on Thursday, and it was on the Engage platform. So this is basically an hour-long replay of the session. Not much I can tell you about it really, it's, other than what's in the title. But the YouTube site you want is Educators Space in Space VR, and well worth subscribing to at the moment because they are publishing an awful lot during this month-long conference. Right, moving on yet again. This is not a YouTube one. This next one. This is Vimeo.com. So I have Vimeo.com. Okay. You can obviously. Oh, I can't give a click. Okay. Okay. If you've got a pen and paper handy, you need it for this. 5 49473798. So it's vimeo.com/ and then that number. And basically, it doesn't work in reader view either here, does it? It's Arcadius VR roundtable with Dr. Ryan M. McAdams. It's an hour and 18 minutes. One thing you will notice, or many of you will notice, is our good friend Pathfinder Lester. Oops. Well, he was there for a second.
Oh, that's good. I had a good night on call, and then just took my son to the skate park. So it's
Okay. Well, this is 2 days ago. It's put up. If you go to Vimeo.com and you haven't got didn't take a note of that number, it looks like the user account is Arcadius, so ACADICUS. And if you look up them, you'll actually get their a list of their videos. Most of their videos are actually hosted by John Bruchot, the architect, and Pathfinder Lester. And this is Dr. Ryan McAdams, who's a neonatologist based in, guess where he's from? Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, that's
Never
right.
heard, never heard of that before.
No, no.
He is associate professor, division chief at the University of Wisconsin Department of Pediatrics Division of Neonatology and Newborn Nursery. Oh God, I shouldn't have started reading this, should I? Anyway, yeah, it's him, Dr. Ryan McAdams, in conversation with Pathfinder and John Bouchot. So yeah, sort of slightly relevant to us, and it does feature a virtual world too. Um, Virtual world footage, that is, if we go further in, but I don't know whether this isn't as easy to do here. There's John again. Oh, this is not YouTube, is it?
No.
Oh yeah, they're like, okay, there you are. You got a very brief shot of the virtual world that they're working with there too. And obviously it's simulations to do with pediatrics and stuff like that, as you can see, and other people involved in the virtual side of it too. So yeah, enough of that. Links to follow indeed. Right, moving down the list here. Oh, now this one, 16th May, this just really came in yesterday, I guess, these three. I've mentioned, we've covered Rosie Summers, or VR Rosie as she's known on Twitter, quite a little bit. And this is a post from Leeds Libraries. Basically, it's the local government libraries up at the town called Leeds here in the UK. And I think that must be near where she lives because she's done other things with them before. Rosie Summers is her name, and she's a VR artist. And we've seen lots of videos of her painting inside VR, painting worlds and all sorts of things. Well, what she's done here, as part of the library's Shaping Our World program, in finance with the Arts Council and the BBC, we welcome you to an immersive experience of VR artist Rosie Summers. So, as I say, you'll find this at Leeds Libraries. Yeah, Leeds, no space, and then libraries. But it's yeah, I'm at the beginning, so I guess I'll give you the first few minutes to give you an idea of what's going on here. Well, as you can see, she's sort of in VR, and I've never really fully figured out how this is achieved technically, because they're filming her as a real person, artist, in the VR environment, and as she's also creating it. Basically, she's created Narnia, you know, the Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe, or whatever. Her idea here is she's creating Narnia as she goes. Of course, they're games jam, but it seems to be just her, not jamming with anybody. Um, they've got. Oh no, sorry, Games Jam is part of the series. Sorry, they're doing. Not just with her. Um, it's very hard to explain this. So it's actually wonderful to watch if you've got the patience. I mean, it's pretty well filmed, especially on the big screen. But it's fascinating. You're watching a real person in a VR environment, and she's manipulating the VR environment at the same time. It's the virtual reality tools she's holding in her hand, painting, sculpting, and doing all sorts of stuff. Obviously, some of it she must have created in advance because the whole thing flows a bit like a sort of walkthrough of Narnia, and probably not the Narnia you know from the films, but nevertheless, it's just an intriguing idea, and I've never really gotten over her films because I have no idea. I really have no idea how I would do, even if I had a headset, and how I would go about filming something like that. You know, I can imagine filming a real person green screened against their 3D creation, or I can imagine filming them, um, watching them with the in-world tools creating, but combining both the way it's done and the movement at the same time. I just um, it's like she's got a follow cam inside the virtual environment of some sort that actually manages to film. But then again, if it was just a follow cam, it wouldn't be filming her. It would only be filming what she's doing from the first person view, if you see what I mean. So anyway, uh, maybe you know what's going on there, James, because I'm sure I
It's an app you
don't.
can download. It's all part of
Uh, uh,
Oculus, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is actually absolutely wonderful. So to find it, you need to go to Leeds Libraries, and you can get it there. I'll try and get that posted somewhere else that's easily available at
Yeah, and
some point.
it's a
Uh,
PC app only. It's not a Quest type of thing. You have to have the room
right,
lighthouses and things like that,
right,
so you can track the body.
yeah. Oh, Truman Rifter, that's a familiar name. Rosie is one of the VR artists that can not only stun her audience by her talent and creativity, but also manages to put a smile on his face every time and brings happiness with everything she creates. Isn't
Ooh,
that nice?
that's nice.
Quote from one of her viewers from 2 days ago. Right, moving down. What we got here? Okay, yeah. So let's go. Okay. Um, Now this is another one of the sessions for educators in VR, held in Engage during the week. And this is featuring Tom Furness, who's the founder of the Virtual Reality Society. Also, another familiar person. Again, in Second Life Virtual World's Best Practices, he did a keynote there. I think it was the year before last. Um, and yeah, very similar. It's the same environment, I think, where Jeremy was did the other. Okay, I'm already halfway through that, of course. I thought he was quiet.
I thought it was quiet.
You know, there's something really funny about this day and age. I'll go, but When would you ever have thought that the two most familiar lines you hear coming out of our Prime Minister's mouth are the words, "Can you unmute?"
Yeah, right.
and "Next slide, please."
Yep.
I mean, you hear them every day in the virtual world, but they when you when you hear them constantly coming out of the Prime Minister's mouth, you think, this guy's learning a lot. There's a time when he wouldn't have, somebody in his position would not have bothered to know about the mechanics, but now,
Right.
the Downing Street Daily Address. Next slide, please. And can you unmute?
How far we have
He's
fallen.
he's learning. He's learning. He's not making a fool of himself or anything. He's learning, but it's just something that doesn't doesn't ring right. Yeah. Anyway, well, he did eventually unmute, so let's just go ahead. But like Jeremy's thing last week, it's a bit unfortunate in Engage because you've got the real photo likeness that's been uploaded to make the avatar, but the I don't know whether it's the camera or the shape of the avatar, but it just doesn't look right. It's like he's got his. In this case, it's like he's got his back arched backwards, and he's sticking his stomach out. Just doesn't. The other avatars from a distance don't seem like there's much wrong with them. So I think this is a kind of a glitch that happens when you move your camera into the person concerned. Anyway, you can complain about me talking over him, but I had no intention of funding this anyway because it's 90 minutes long. So this is quite a big one. But Educators Space in Space VR is the account you need for that one. Right, so that's Tom Furness. Moving on again, our next one is this week's edition of Between Realities. So I guess we better actually open it just to give you the bump. The guest here is David de Jong, who have it sounds like they spent a long time with an intro before they went on air. Yeah, there he is.
So you got this though this time doing only drinks. Well, thank you guys for being here, being a part of the Between Realities family.
Okay. So I'm just loading it. Between Realities, Between Space Realities is the what you want for to subscribe or to actually get to this link. If there's one thing they love about the VR community, it's the overarching feeling that we're all on the same team working together to bring VR to the masses. We're incredibly lucky to have had a teammate in David de Jong through his work as manager for his mega influencer brother Nathi, VR, healthcare, and more. So basically, they're talking about VR, healthcare, and more. Does it all really, doesn't it? So I do like the format of this show. You've got a virtual set, but you've got two real world people green screened into it, so to speak, and
Team VR in general, kind of.
And then they bring their guest in via webcam. And they, meanwhile, they get shrunk down to the bottom here. I don't know. It's a presentation method and graphics and whatever. I think it's a really nice format. It's probably very simple to do once you've got the VR set built to drop everything into. But yeah, so they do a good job on the production side of it too. So what you want is Between Realities at youtube.com. And moving on to the inevitable. We've already had the website at Forbes. Now we have the video at YouTube. It's This Week in XR. So this space week space in space XR. And Spirited Banter, it's called, about the week's spatial computing news with Paramount Pictures futurist Ted Schilowitz and Forbes tech columnist Charlie Fink. And this week's guest needs no introduction. It's Genies Corey Grenier. Well, he may not need an introduction from their point of view, but I haven't a clue who that
Hmm.
is. Do you know?
I've heard the name. Yep.
I don't even think I've heard the name. But there
Okay.
again, even those so-called experts who are not really experts
All
at
right.
all,
Right.
can't remember everything. It's you have to be, hear a name or two in passing, and you rapidly forget it unless it's frequently in your
Have
radar.
they changed the theme of their show? I mean, did it say spatial computing now as opposed to virtual reality?
Yeah, do you
Or
know? I'd
has it
have to
always
check.
been that?
Do you know? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that sounds
But I
new to
mean,
me,
it
but
has changed from time to time. I think. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
they've got the date on this, but they don't tell you what number it is. With
Hmm.
how long it's been going on. I'm not. They might have changed it. Um, I don't really. I certainly don't read it out every week. I give you the site.
Hmm.
This week in XR, but yeah, spirited banter about spatial computing news.
Spatial
I
computing.
quite like I quite like that. It sounds much more contemporary. I mean, I think Charlie, like me, probably wants to avoid using the word metaverse
Hmm.
because it's become pluralized and therefore nonsense. Um, so maybe they have
Yeah,
changed it. I
yeah.
don't know. Anyway, moving on. We are only two more to go. The first of which is this one's quite interesting. Um, uh, South by Southwest conference has just posted a whole load more videos from the conference, and this one's very interesting. Future hybrid. It's called How Virtuality, in other words, VR, basically changes live music. Um, Here we are. That's the title, and the account you want to go to is SXSW. And yeah, I'll just read the gist of that. When COVID hit, live streams, rap battles, intimate concerts swarmed the web. The virtual music universe was forced to accelerate faster than ever before and deliver fans at home experiences in new and innovative ways. Just as it's starting to return slowly and safely, it will be forever changed by its virtual counterparts. The leaders on this panel believe in a future that blends in real life with digital. The crossroads of virtual and live music lives an amazing potential for innovation and a whole new landscape filled with endless possibilities. In this panel, we'll hear from leading platforms and brands in the virtual and live space about how they're thinking about the future of live and virtual experience as one holistic roadmap. Dramatic ending there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and very interesting. Now, to be honest, I don't really know of any of these people, as so-called leaders in the space, but do remember that this is really focused on music. It's focused on virtuality and online performance in general, but from the music point of view. So you're not going to well, you can imagine the stuff discussed here, but very interesting. It's 45 minutes long, well, 44 minutes 40. So it's not a short one, but it's not a dreadfully long one either. So up to you, really. And right, the very final one now. And this is going to be interesting. Spatial 4.0. Now, I think this is Spatial I/O again in response to James's. Hello.
The powerful all-in-one platform built for not-so-techy people who want to share their knowledge for a profit.
Oh.
Free. Click below to watch a free demo.
Oh, that was an advert. I'm sorry about that, folks.
I want to say this is the other spatial.
Uh,
Hmm.
So I played all of that. All 55 seconds for us to end on, so to speak. That again is Spatial IO in their glorious
Was it?
legless state.
Okay. Okay.
It's Spatial IO again, and well, the YouTube account is called Spatial, simply Spatial, but the game is given away because they give you the URL to Spatial IO.
Okay.
So I know I'm not wrong because I can read it in front of me. Okay, that's it. That's it. That's the glorious it's if and button everything really. Oh, window close, won't you? And that window can close too. And yeah, there we are. Put that one away. And yeah, I think we're all done there. Oh, I've lost my screen. Nice in-world screen. Gone to steer. Oh, well now we've got a nice pretty picture showing, so that's okay.
Yep.
It's moving actually. It's moving actually. So if we're going to be talking, you might as well see the water rippling. Nice moving desktop.
Okay.
It's all a bit subtle when you see it in slow motion on our in-world screen, but there you go. So yeah, that's it. James, any thoughts about everything?
No, it seems another standard week, I think, in virtual worlds. The Apple news was quite some fun speculation. It would be interesting to see what actually comes of those rumors.
Yeah, I'm surprised to get it from Robert Scoble actually, because it makes it more interesting because of his contacts, I guess. But I mean, he would certainly, if he was told stuff in confidence, he would certainly have respected that. So
Right.
it's not. If he knows his stuff, he's not going to breach confidences. So quite interesting indeed. Right, well, I think that's it. We can say good night to everybody, or good day, or whatever time it is in the world,
Whatever
wherever
time
you
it
are.
is, right? I've heard something like that before.
Yeah, well, we used to have another show where I used to leave with
That's
sort
right.
of I've forgotten what it is now. Oh yeah, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are.
Oh, does that sound good? Does it feel good to say that?
Yeah, I bought to practice that because I used to say it every week for years and years, but it's so long now since I've done it.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah. So indeed, well, it's goodbye from him.
Oh, and it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye from the two of us, yes, because we are, or rather, when it comes to XR and MR and VR and whatever are remain, we are. Yeah. Because we are.
Yep.
Okay, folks, that's it. Have a very good week. Stay safe. Stay indoors if you can. I think actually from the sound of it, nobody's getting any summer wherever we are in the world. So you don't need to worry about going out and catching the plague too much. But
Right.
as I say, stay safe. And we will return same time, same place next week. And have a safe one and a good one. Bye for now.